corner, they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right, hello everyone. I'm back. I got here late. I got the live started late, but I'm still here. Okay, so shout out to everybody that tuned in. Let's get ready to get into it. Nessa G, Claudette, Buckhurst DC, Nene is here. All right. And so with that all being said, just anticipate. Reggie is in the virtual building. Ethylene, Bronze Flat Power God. All right. So, hey, Claudette. So, shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. Big shout out to my moderators because y'all know that we putting in work. I see you, Emperor Rex. All right, Desmond. Okay, so now with that all been said, hey, LL, that crazy beach Aries. All right, Queen Amona Huey. So, before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
So don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And please don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. Okay, so let's talk about what's really going on here. Pete Hegseth did an interview I thought it was absolutely nefarious to say the least. It was obvious to me that he wasn't being fully transparent. And I'll just go ahead and go out on a limb and say, quite frankly, he was lying. Okay, he was lying, in my opinion. Now, hold on just a second. Let me see if this is it. Hold on, I'm going to mute myself for just a second. Okay, so now this is part of a 60-minute interview, and y'all know they don't let you play 60-minute interviews on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this because they're showing a clip on CBS. So I'm going to send this to my email, and then we'll just we'll listen to it with an overlay. Okay, because I want y'all to hear what this man said. Now, some people are acting like they're so shocked and appalled because Russia has joined the chat. CNN came out hours ago and said that Russia has been helping Iran with intelligence. Well, newsflash. Everybody should have already known that was going to happen. Like, it's crazy to me that people seem flabbergasted. And in fact, even though CNN reported this just hours ago, they've actually been helping them since Saturday. Okay, so for all the MAGA minions who were saying, oh, Russia and China's not even helping them, they're just standing back. They don't want to break their ties with the U.S. Please, how dumb could you be? Okay, how dumb could you be? Well, if you're a MAGA, you have to be pretty dumb. Okay, that's just what it is. So now, with that all being said, we're going to get into these latest updates on the war, and then we're going to get into those Epstein files that Trump seems to think that he can distract us from, but it's not going to happen. Okay, it's not going to happen. All right, more and more nefarious details seem to come out. And here's the thing: let us just remember the only reason Bondi, okay, aka Blondie, the only reason she dumped these files is because she knew that she was already subpoenaed and she was just pretty much going to have to give us something. Okay. So likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go. Timothy says China flew in some missile deterrent equipment as well. Really? See, I didn't even know that yet. But what I do know, what I did say when I just did a TikTok about this not too long ago, that of course China's going to help them. I told you all days ago how China gets most of their oil from GCC countries, and that those countries have been hit by Iran, and we know why. So with that all being said, China had been stockpiling their oil since January when they kidnapped Maduro. Okay, and so now they have like 100 days left of oil. So what do you think they're going to do when that starts to run out? They're just going to sit there? Absolutely not. So we all should have known. I don't know why people are acting like they're so perplexed. I don't know why Pete Hegseth is acting like there's nothing here to see. There's nothing to see here, folks. Like he's so unconcerned. Okay, you should be very concerned. Please pay attention.
Well, the big news is Russia and China helping Iran? Let's find out. Before that, we have a Ukrainian drone here blowing up a Russian helicopter in the Black Sea. We also got Kim Jong-un watching his missiles be launched from a new North Korean naval vessel. Look at them flexing. They've come a long way, huh? It looks like the United States has hit another Iranian naval vessel, as Trump is saying he is not going to back down until Iran surrenders. There have also been rumors of a ground invasion into Iran. So Iran has responded to this by saying,
Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
You are waiting for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
Dude just straight up said he was waiting for them, but it makes sense on his second line when he was asked about Russia and China.
Are your allies Russia and China helping you?
Well, they are supporting us politically and otherwise.
Are they supporting you militarily?
Well, military cooperation between Iran and Russia is not a secret. We have worked with each other in the past, and that has continued, and will continue, I guess.
And they're actively helping you in this war?
Well, they have always helped us.
So I'm gonna understand that to mean yes, that they are actively assisting you in this war?
Well, I'm not going to give the details of our cooperation with other countries right in the middle of the war.
Facts. I mean, at this point, who would tell anybody anything like that? But hold on, I got one more thing. There was a statement from the Russians themselves. Listen to this.
We'll do everything to create an atmosphere that will make this operation impossible.
Right. And then I got one last icing on the cake. Listen to this. And then I got one more video coming next.
Russia is providing Iran intelligence to target U.S. forces, officials say. This might not become as a surprise to you, but it will be very unwelcome news, I imagine, at the Oval Office.
It's old news. The Trump administration is well aware of this, going back to the first Trump administration when the Russian intelligence was providing the Taliban with intelligence to kill our soldiers there. That's just what they do. That's their currency in return for receiving Iranian drones and having Iranians create these, build these drone factories in Russia. The Russians provide tactical and strategic intelligence on their main enemy, the United States. Now, it hasn't really had a whole lot of effect. We're doing pretty well in spite of whatever Russian intelligence is making its way to Tehran. There was no early warning intelligence that would have saved Ayatollah Khamenei's life. So I wouldn't put too much stock in the value of this, but it just shows us that this is the axis of dictatorships, Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, that are all working.
He said he wouldn't put too much stock in this, so he's acting like this is nothing to see here, folks. We already knew it was coming. Yeah, well, if they already knew that in a time of war that this is what Russia does to the United States, they should be asking Trump, why has he been so close with Putin? Why has he been so chummy in a whole bromance with Putin? That's what they should be asking him. But the fact of the matter is they didn't know. They never saw this coming. Okay, at the end of the day, they were not expecting it. Their faces are cracked. I can guarantee you that their faces are absolutely cracked. Okay, at the end of the day, and here's the thing. You know, it's interesting to me how they're trying to paint Iran as the aggressor when we already know that Trump started this, him and Bibi. Okay, that's what they're trying to paint this narrative, as if these people cannot defend themselves or they're not supposed to defend themselves. And then, you know, MAGA's all upset about the whole thing because Russia has suddenly entered the chat. But I'm sorry, isn't the U.S. helping Israel? That's what they're doing, right? Okay, let's continue.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that China and Russia were non-factors in this war. You know, there's never an egg timer when you really need one. Today, U.S. intelligence released information that Russia is in fact assisting Iran with the location via their own intelligence of where U.S. armed forces are. That did not last. There is also unconfirmed reports that China is mulling their options and deciding whether or not they want to also assist Iran either with military and weapons parts or with financial aid. Now, China has a little bit more at stake here because they get about 50% of their oil from Middle Eastern countries, and all of that oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz, which is currently locked down. In fact, the Middle East accounts for about 76% of all oil imports across all Asian countries. It's currently why the economy of South Korea is tanking. Worth pointing out that 90% of all oil exports from Iran go to China. A number of people are incorrectly assuming that China can just replace Middle Eastern oil with Russian oil. They can't. In fact, even if Russia exported 100% of their oil just to China, it would only cover about 37% of what China needs. Let's look at both countries, though, and we'll start with Russia first. In my mind, Russia is engaging in this war and assisting Iran because they just desire a balance of power. Iran also does supply Russia with weapons in order to support their war with Ukraine. If Iran falls, then Russia loses its only ally in the Middle East. Also, in my opinion, neither country will engage in aggression against the US or Israel. What they want is to simply drag out this war for as long as possible. Here's why. Despite the fact that the US spends more than the next 18 countries combined on defense, we are potentially going to run out of missiles and drones in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Trump is very aware of this. It's why he's going on interviews and posting on social media that we have an infinite supply of weapons, but we don't. Let me break down what we actually spend in defense to help you understand. 30% goes towards our 2.1 active military personnel as well as their families, and that is to house them, to give them food, to give them health insurance. It basically pays their salaries. The largest percentage, around 40%, goes towards operations, and I don't mean Operation Epic Fury. Dumbest name ever. Operations is simply the day-to-day costs of actually running the military. Now, 20%, around $200 billion, does go towards weapons manufacturing and procurement. But here's the problem. Only about 10% of that 20% goes towards missiles and drones. That is only 2% of the overall budget. And since Trump cannot put troops on the ground without congressional approval, he only is able to rely on those missiles and drones. We're going to run out of weapons because Trump never anticipated that this war would last for 4 to 6 weeks. And if I know that, then China and Russia also knows that. They are not trying to start World War III. They are simply trying to drag this out as long as possible so we exhaust all of our weapons.
And that's a smart move on their behalf, because here's the thing. How you know that Trump didn't expect this is because Trump thought. See, Trump has too much ego, okay? He's such a narcissist. He thought that because they went in there and kidnapped Maduro, they could just do whatever they want. Everybody's just going to fall back and bend the knee. And he said days ago, if you remember, he said he expects this to last, what, about 4 or 5 days or something like that. Isn't that what he said, if I'm not mistaken? So he clearly is not expecting this, or wasn't expecting this to drag on. And he actually thought that Iran was going to basically just go ahead and surrender. These people are not going to back down. They have already said they've been waiting for this. They have been waiting for this. Okay, how long do you think they've been planning? Like I keep telling y'all. So at the end of the day, Trump just miscalculated. He didn't have a real plan. And at the end of the day, people are going to suffer because of his foolishness. Okay, because of his arrogance and stupidity. That's just what it is. And we're going to suffer too because of the economy.
China might soon join the war in Iran. Russia is already involved. According to CNN, U.S. intelligence indicates that China is preparing to enter the Middle East conflict by providing Iran with financial support, spare parts, and missile components. Russia has been backing Iran too. The Washington Post reported this morning that Russia is giving Iran intelligence on where to target American ships, military bases, and other assets in the region. So China could be the next to join the war. Why? Because China depends heavily on oil from Iran and has been pressuring countries around Iran to keep the Strait of Hormuz open for oil shipments. This conflict could escalate significantly, with China and Russia supporting Iran while the United States and Europe oppose it. If these developments continue, the conflict may no longer remain just a regional war, but could quickly evolve into a larger global standoff, with major powers lining up on opposite sides and the stability of the entire Middle East hanging in the balance.
Trump's about to F around and find out. Okay? He's about to F around and find out. Now listen to this. Former U.S. Army Colonel Douglas McGregor, here's what he has to say. And it looks like they cut this clip after the last thing that he was saying. So please pay attention to the last words that come out of his mouth as you listen. Okay?
Russia are sitting on the sidelines monitoring everything. They're in close touch with the government. They're providing satellite intelligence, which accounts for some of the tremendous successes, particularly in Israel and on our U.S. bases. All of our bases have been destroyed. Our harbor installations are destroyed. We're actually having to fall back on India and Indian ports, which are less than ideal. That's what the Navy says. And I think Iran, much to our disappointment, is faring very, very well. China.
Okay, so that clip cut off, but what he was saying was he believes that Iran, much to their disappointment, is faring very well. Okay, yeah, they underestimated. See, that's the thing about it in war. You should never underestimate your enemy. Okay, you should always expect the worst, but hope the best. Okay, this is also ridiculous. But this just goes to show that we have a bunch of incompetent idiots in charge. Think about all of the 4-star generals, the leading commanders that Trump fired. Think about that, okay? Please pay attention. That was the dumbest move ever, if you ask me.
Out of the Middle East, and it's a game changer. U.S. officials are now confirming that Russia is directly feeding real-time intelligence to Iran. We're talking about the exact locations of American warships, aircraft, and radar systems. This isn't just talk, it's targeting data. Analysts say this explains how Iran has been hitting targets with such high precision lately, even after their own radar networks were hit last week. Remember that drone strike in Kuwait that killed 6 U.S. service members? Evidence is pointing to Russian satellite data making that possible. But here's the twist. China is staying out of it. While Moscow is getting their hands dirty as payback for Ukraine, Beijing is keeping their distance. Washington says the Iranian regime is being absolutely crushed. But with Russia acting as Tehran's eyes in the sky, this unprovoked escalation just got a lot more complicated. Stay tuned. This is Big Apple Vibes.
We're definitely going to be staying tuned. Let's go to this next clip.
People alive today have never seen something like this. An Iranian warship getting blown up in international waters by an American submarine.
It was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death.
The message: America's enemies aren't safe anywhere. On board the sunk warship, a crew of 180. It was sailing in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Sri Lanka, which is far from the front lines, far from the war in the Middle East. It's believed at the time of the attack, the warship was returning from the Bay of Bengal, where last week it took part in a series of naval drills with countries around the world.
An American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters.
The Sri Lankan Coast Guard received a distress call from the ship early on.
Now, this is what I told you all about. Pete Hegseth is bragging about this, but that was a low down, dirty move. And also, I do believe that's a war crime. Okay, but he's talking about they're not going to play fair. Well, you're not going to play fair because you know you're losing. Okay, please pay attention. Miss Tree said, "Rich white nerds ain't about that life. You can sue here." Thank you for your insight to the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay.
Wednesday. When they arrived, the ship was gone, sunk by a U.S. torpedo. 32 sailors were rescued, but the 150 or so others either unaccounted for or confirmed dead. The U.S. says it has destroyed more than 20 Iranian vessels since the start of Operation Epic Fury just a few days ago.
This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be.
Most people alive today have never seen something like this.
Y'all heard that? He said they're punching them while they're down. Now, the reason I want to point that out is because I find it very interesting that, MAGA, they're sitting here acting like this is all just so crazy and that Iran is just doing all of this stuff. They were the aggressor. They keep bringing up the fact, talking about they've been terrorists and all of this. That's just them gaslighting and deflecting and trying to justify the BS that Trump has caused. That's all that is. The bottom line is Trump and Bibi started this whole thing, and it looks like Iran's going to finish it, okay, one way or another. They're not going to back down. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this next clip. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. And after this, we're going to get into the Epstein files. I want you all to pay attention, though. Trump's former press secretary came out and was talking about all the lies that he's been telling. Okay, and we're going to get into that too, because she said that Trump talks about his base. Now, we know that he likely talks about his base, but the bottom line is, do they believe it when she says it out of her mouth? I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
Helping Iran target Americans in the Middle East, and China could soon get involved too. We're told by multiple sources that Russia has been providing Iran with intelligence about the locations and movements of American troops, ships, and aircraft, marking Moscow's first known involvement in this war. Now, it's hard to say just how important the Russian intelligence has been to the Iranians, but several Iranian drones have hit locations where U.S. troops have been in recent days, including in Kuwait, where 6 American service members were killed by an Iranian drone on Sunday. China could also be getting ready to help Iran financially and with missile components, according to our sources, but they have been more cautious in their support for the regime. Russia is helping Iran target
Let me tell you all something. I just double checked because I actually thought that them striking that ship like they did was a war crime. It really isn't. It's only a war crime if the ship, hold on. It's only a war crime if it's shipwrecked. It's a war crime to attack shipwrecked sailors. Okay. They called it hors de combat, which is disabled from fighting. Okay. So if they did that and the ship had been disabled, it would have been a war crime, but clearly it's not. But nonetheless, it was a dirty tactic. Okay. So Mally C says, Queen, the military hospital in Germany is shut down. No babies can be delivered there amid the Iranian war. Yeah, I reported that earlier, beloved, on the previous broadcast. But thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, I appreciate both of you who contributed to the channel. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's go to Lion R's Carolyn Levitt, because she was approached by reporters to get her input. And of course, per usual, she's just gonna lie.
President's faith in Russia to cut a peace deal with Ukraine been shaken by the knowledge that Russia is apparently supplying intelligence to Iran in this conflict?
I think the president would say that peace is still an achievable objective with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war. You saw Special Envoy Witkoff put out a tweet yesterday announcing a new prisoner exchange between both Russia and Ukraine. So it's something this administration still wants to see and something I know the president will continue to work on.
Has he expressed any frustration to Putin about this intelligence
I'll
sharing?
let the president speak on that directly.
Has the president's
Yeah, the fact that they always pretend that everything's just fine and dandy and nothing to see here should just let us know how far they're willing to lie, okay? And like I told you, there's still nobody posting any pictures of what's going on over there in that other country, all right? With their capital, nonetheless. But let's continue. Because this is Trump's former press secretary, as I said, talking about all the lies that Trump has told. There's several clips that I'm going to play for her, and then we're going to get into the files.
Just a Trump supporter. I was a true believer. I was one of his closest advisors. I saw him when the cameras were off. Behind closed doors, Trump mocks his supporters. He calls them basement dwellers. On a hospital visit one time when people were dying in the ICU, he was mad that the cameras were not watching him. He has no empathy, no morals, and no fidelity to the truth. He used to tell me, it doesn't matter what you say, Stephanie. Say it enough and people will believe you. When I was press secretary, I got skewered for never holding a White House briefing. It's because, unlike my boss, I never wanted to stand at that podium and lie. Now here I am, behind a podium, advocating for a Democrat. And that's because I love my country more than my party. Kamala Harris tells the truth. She respects the American people, and she has my vote.
Now that's when she flipped on Trump. But hold on, let's continue. Above all that drama, said, ma'am, nobody likes a rat.
He wouldn't touch her because she was so unattractive. It wasn't that, oh, I'm a married man, I would never do that, I'm a good person. It was just how unattractive she was. And I recall him telling me, all you do is deny in these situations, Stephanie. You just deny everything all the time, right? And I remember specifically feeling like that was a test for me because he stared me down when he asked me that. And he knew, of course, was very close to Melania at the time. So that was one of many different women who had allegations against him. And it was a tough time in that White House just because of my relationship with Melania.
Look, you mentioned her. Do you think that Melania was possibly his target audience in all of this? Everything that he said, all the denials? I mean, is he speaking to a party of one in some ways?
I think so. It's my understanding that she has been really pressuring him to go out there and defend himself in this particular case. So I think absolutely that he's probably trying to defend himself with her.
Trump can't defend himself, okay? It's impossible at this point. Now, let's talk about these Epstein files. I'm going to go to this first clip. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share.
Justice has released new documents from the Epstein files containing allegations of sexual assault against President Trump. These documents, which are known as 302s, are summaries of 3 interviews the FBI conducted with a woman in 2019 who accuses both Epstein and Trump of sexually assaulting her in the 1980s. The woman describes in graphic terms how Trump assaulted her during their first meeting and how she fought back. She said she had 2 subsequent interactions with Trump, but the 302 says she asked to move on to a different topic before she described those encounters any further. During her last FBI interview, this woman expressed skepticism of detailing her contacts with Trump any further, asking what the point of it would be when there was a strong possibility that nothing could be done about it. That's where the paper trail with this accuser basically ends, except for an internal FBI email sent a few years later saying that the accuser ultimately refused to cooperate. These 3 interview summaries were actually part of a set of 4.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there because now she's saying things that I've already reported to you all. I told you all weeks ago that there was 4 interviews and they only released 1. Okay, so now we have the other 3, which I'm going to get into. But I want you all to pay attention to how Nick Fuentes, okay, who's been a stark MAGA supporter, right, Trump supporter, now he's going in on the whole regime. I find that all interesting. Okay, it's too late now. Don't start having buyer's remorse. Okay, let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
Wrong. I agree. Just in the fact that I'm making a video about Nick Fuentes that isn't eviscerating Nick Fuentes. If you didn't realize that MAGA and Trump are losing his base, allow this to be your wake-up call.
We need in 2026 for this administration to be shut the fuck down. What does this administration do other than cover up the Epstein files, embezzle money through government contracts, and bring us to war for Israel? This administration needs to be shut down immediately. Do not vote in the midterms. And if you do, vote for Democrats. Fuck this.
Let me be clear on something. Nick Fuentes is a giant piece of shit. Irredeemable. A horrific, outspoken, racist, white nationalist hunk of shit. But I do agree. In the midterms, if you don't like what's going on, you should vote Democrat. Because they've had all the branches under their control, and the American people are not doing well for it. If you don't have balance, it doesn't work. Midterms are coming.
Okay, it's so hilarious to hear him going in, honey. Please sit down, sir. Okay, sir, it's too late. Okay, it is absolutely too late. Now, let's get into these files. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Now, this is from August the 30th of 2019. The interviewing agents asked Blank to provide now, mind you, this is the interview. Remember, there were 4 interviews I told you about. Well, here is the rest of it, of what the woman who was 13 at the time had to say. Okay, so the interviewing agents asked the Blank to provide additional details regarding her first interaction with Donald Trump when she was approximately 13 to 15 years old in either New York or New Jersey, and while also in the company of Jeffrey Epstein. Blank clarified that when she previously said Trump struck her after she bit him on the anus, okay, she provided further details that he pulled her hair and punched her on the side of her head. Now, with respect to Blank's mother, Blank deceased, okay, her mother's now dead. Blank recalled her mother spent approximately 2 years in federal prison in Columbia, okay, Columbia, South Carolina, around the time that Blank was 17 or 18 years old. Blank's mother's sentence was related to an embezzlement conviction connected to being blackmailed by Jeffrey Epstein and Jim Atkins over explicit photographs of Blank. Blank asked whether Epstein had a sibling. The investigating agents inquired as to what made her think he had a sibling. Blank replied that she recalled there was a man, possibly a brother of Epstein's, that she recalled from the past. Well, we now know that he does have a brother. I do believe his name is Mark. Now, since the sexual assaults Blank suffered at the hands of Epstein and his associates, Blank was threatened on numerous occasions by unidentified people that she believed were connected to Epstein. Blank mother was also threatened on numerous occasions prior to her death. Now, the first incident Blank could recall occurred in approximately Blank when Blank was 16 to 17 years old. Blank was living in a suburb in South Carolina at the time. Blank's mother had been arrested for embezzlement and could not pay the restitution. Blank called Atkins at the university where he worked, unidentified, so they don't say exactly who this is or what the university name is, okay, to ask him for help. She recalled that she asked him why he fixed her mother's real estate books, only to later turn her mother in to the police. Atkins responded to Blank by stating words to the effect that he did not give a ish if you end up in the gutter. Don't ever contact me again. Your mother knows what will happen. Blank recalled threatening telephone calls primarily began to occur after Blank gave birth to her daughter in Blank. Several calls listed as no ID on her caller ID system were made to Blank's phone. The voicemail content primarily included only noises. However, during one call, a man who's unidentified stated, "F you. You better keep your mouth closed." The man subsequently hung up. Blank was threatened, sometimes every 2 years, then at random times. Blank never recognized the voices during the telephone calls, but she was certain the callers were not Epstein, Atkins, or Trump. The callers did not have any heavy New York accents. She clarified that Epstein did not have a heavy New York accent in general. However, he said certain words with an accent. Now, in approximately blank, a mother fielded threat calls as well, okay, made by individuals telling her to leave the island, blank, and blank. Mother was most likely also threatened in person. However, Blank did not have specific information regarding any in-person threats. One of Blank's mother's previous husbands, Blank, also received at least one threatening call at some point. There's no further information. Now, the last call that Blank characterized as threatening occurred in approximately December or January. While Blank was working at Blank, and a coworker received a message on her work landline that was intended for Blank. The man on the message stated that he was either Kevin or Keith, and that he was calling from Blank's doctor's office to check on her. Blank only listened for a second and did not hear the entire message. Blank's doctor had no idea where she worked and would never have called to check on her. Blank stated she told her daughter about the call, and her daughter subsequently called the doctor in an attempt to confirm the call to Blank. The doctor's office stated they did not call to check on Blank. Blank told her boss that she had to take her daughter and leave immediately. Blank believed the incident to be threatening and related to Epstein and or his associates. Blank stated under her breath that if it was not Epstein, maybe it was the other one. When asked the identity of the other one, Blank stated Trump. Now remember, beloveds, in the other previous emails or e-files that I've read to you, there were other people saying that Trump had threatened them. Okay. Blank was asked several times if she could estimate how many times she received threatening calls that she associated with Epstein and his associate. Blank could not provide an answer, indicating there were numerous threat calls throughout her life. In the beginning, the threats were regular. They later became sporadic, and a year would go by in between the incidents. Now, during the past 4 years, the threats increased, a little from one or the other. When asked to clarify what she meant by one or the other, Blank stated she did not wish to further discuss that comment at this time. Now, they left an administrative note saying immediately after indicating she did not wish to expound on the particular statement, Blank looked at her attorney and stated when he was running at that point. Okay, when he was running. So that sounds like when Trump was running for office. Okay, the first time. She says when he was running. At that point, Blank's attorney stated more tracks to cover. Blank repeated the statement back to her attorney. Blank recalled receiving several hang-ups and a lot of brief telephone messages that included words to the effect, "We know where you're at. You need to keep your mouth shut." The people who called knew Blank's mother was in a specific assisted living facility. Blank initially stated the individuals possibly called her mother, but when asked how she knew they were aware of her mother's residence in a particular assisted living facility, Blank stated they called her mother there. The calls to her mother included rude language about her mother's age and health. When asked what made Blank think the calls were related to Epstein or his associates, Blank responded that she did not think the callers ever said they were calling on behalf of Epstein or Trump. Blank does not have any other issue in her past that would explain years of harassment or threats. Now, since the threats began, Blank has had 4 to 5 close calls where she was almost run off the road. 1 or 2 incidents occurred prior to Blank and one approximately 2 years ago. Now, during the Blank incident, Blank and her mother were driving one night on Interstate 5 near Blank, Oregon. It was dark and rainy that night. One car behind Blank repeatedly turned its lights on and off. Then that car and another, both described as nice and black or blue, attempted to run Blank's car off the road. The car to Blank's left was larger and had 4 doors. She recalled an 18-wheeler was driving in front of her at the time. Blank did not wreck her vehicle during the incident. After the incident, her mother began crying and Blank pulled over. See, this is why a lot of these victims have been scared to come forward. Okay, and this is absolutely why I think that they are the ones that took out Virginia Giuffre and said that she did it to herself. I absolutely don't believe that. Now, during the last incident, which Blank clarified may have happened 2.5 to 3 years ago, she was driving on Interstate 5 toward her home in Blank, Washington at approximately 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Okay, day of the week unknown. When Blank took the first Blank exit near a gas station and traffic circle, a male driver positioned his car on her ASS and slammed her car forward. The man ran Blank through the traffic circle where she blew out her tire and broke her mirror. She recalled that she ran into a sign. The vehicle that struck her was a dark black or blue sports utility vehicle. Blank believed the driver to be a male due to the shape of the body she saw in her mirror. She stated the man was maybe white. After Blank wrecked, she called a friend who lived nearby and told him she had no idea what happened. Blank did not call the police, and to her knowledge, no police responded to the hit and run. Now, employees, unidentified, from the Chevron or Shell gas station nearby, first gas station on left of exit, witnessed the incident and asked her on a later date what happened to her car. No further details provided. Okay, so that all sounds real scary to me for her to have been going through. Imagine being harassed and stalked and all of that and threatened for years, even your mother and your father. And then for them to be able to find out her mother was in an assisted living home that they had obviously had not told anyone about. So that's all very interesting. Now, let's go to this email about those parties that Trump was having at Mar-a-Lago. Calendar girls. Likes up, everyone. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, now, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and this is dated July the 9th of 2020. Okay, 8:03:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Internet protocol address. Okay, I'm gonna skip all of that. Okay, it says threat to life, false. Submitted text. Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls. Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this is obviously one of the other interviews, okay, done with the FBI. So Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them off. He measured the children's vulva and vajayjays by entering a finger, rating the children on tightness. The guests were elder men and Elon Musk, as well as Don Jr., Ivanka, and Eric were there. Do y'all hear this? Absolutely nefarious. Attorney Alan Dershowitz was also there with attorney Bob Shapiro. They were taken in rooms, forced to give fellatio to Donald Trump, forced to allow them to penetrate us. I was 13 years old when Donald J. Trump R-worded me. Okay, violation, public corruption, white collar crime, civil rights. Now, violation questions, they say, what was the exact crime that occurred? R-wording children. Does this information involve a government official? If so, what is their name and position or title? It says Donald J. Trump. Do you have any evidence to support your claim or know of any witnesses to the crimes? They said Ghislaine Maxwell and Ivanka Trump. So this is just absolutely nefarious, okay? What they're saying that Trump was doing to these children, and I absolutely believe it. And all the people that they said was there, I absolutely believe those people were there as well, okay? Now, did you suffer any personal losses, financially or physically, due to the crime? PTSD. That's the answer. How long has this activity been going on? They say years, 20 years plus. Complaints and information. First name is redacted, or last name is redacted. Additional info. It says, please do something. Most of the girls have now committed self-deletion or were murdered. How is contact known? They say Miss Maxwell introduced us against our will. All right, so, but Ghislaine Maxwell wants a pardon. So last name Maxwell, age 55. So additional info. Other women shared their experience. Women from Miss Teen USA said Trump R-worded them also. Okay, also. Now I want you all to pay attention because they keep painting this fictitious narrative that this all exonerates Trump. Like he didn't do anything. He's not accused of anything. Like there's no credibility to these threats, but they are absolutely credible. So how is contact known? She brought us in from a van in Mexico. She told us we were going to foster care in America. So we know the foster care system at this point. CPS, we know that they have been alleged to be involved in child trafficking, sadly. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about these so-called rituals that they were supposedly having with these African children. Okay, here we go. Now, this is dated February the 6th of 2020. Could there be an Epstein connection? At the moment, there are growing concerns over allegations about a highly connected UK syndicate that specializes in using disabled and other physically challenged children from Nigeria and other African countries for ritual purposes. It was reliably gathered from different sources that it is a closely guarded secret because of the caliber of persons involved, including but not limited to secret cult of UK family, legal law court justice system, allegedly using disabled children for ritualism and other evil purposes. But some of y'all wanted to try and tell me that there was no black folk involved. Okay, we know Africans are not black Americans, but we know that they're melanated. So some of y'all are trying to act like, oh, there's no people that look like us involved in this. And I told you, well, of course they are. When they started talking about cannibalism, throwing people to alligators, who do you think they were talking about? Okay, they did this to our people during slavery. Now, with that all being said, group alleges UK judge Simon Oliver is using challenged African kids for rituals. This man's a judge, okay? I want you all to pay attention. So they say the inquiry panel was told that the MP's knighthood was awarded despite people at the very highest level of politics being aware of multiple allegations he had sexually abused at least 8 boys. A mass cover-up by the establishment. Stephen Walker asks just how many more PDF file revelations are set to come from the corridors of power. Another week goes by and another revelation about PDF files operating with impunity comes along, with the British political establishment right at the center of the storm. Now, the same pattern of events unfolds as the truth about their activities is unearthed years later, with senior politicians suffering from the same selective amnesia about what they knew and why they didn't do or why they did nothing at the time. Leon Britton is the latest former MP who seems to be suffering from confusion regarding allegations of PDF file activity within the Westminster Parliament. Now, as a former Home Secretary, he recently first denied and then admitted to being given a large dossier by the MP Geoffrey Dickens in 1983, containing specific details of MPs who were linked to the PDF file information exchange, known as PIE. Now, the dossier has since gone missing, and Dickens' demand for an investigation at the time got nowhere, which is sadly where it's getting in the U.S. Absolutely nowhere. So in the late 70s, PIE affiliated to the National Council of Civil Liberties, known as the NCCL. Now, at that time, Deputy Labor Party leader Harriet Harman was employed by the NCCL as an in-house solicitor, and former cabinet minister, Patricia Hewitt, was employed as NCCL chief executive. PIE's main PIE, I'm just going to call them PIE. PIE's main policies were to decriminalize indecent photos of children and lower the age of consent in order to enable adults to have sex with very young children. You know, they've been trying to do that in the United States too. I think I reported that to you all, how they're trying to lower the age of consent. Now, Rolf Harris has just been jailed for nearly 6 years for sexual offenses against children as young as 8. Yet the court was not told that police discovered a cache of indecent images of young children on his computer. And former senior Cameron aide Patrick Rock has now been charged with possession of indecent images of small children on his computer. Now Simon Danzuk, the Labor MP for Rockdale, the seat occupied by notorious predatory PDF file Cyril Smith, has taken up the issue of PDF file MPs on the back of publishing a book detailing Smith's serial sexual abuse of vulnerable children in and around Rockdale. Smith was a Freemason and a local counselor in Rockdale. His work included a lot of contact with children. And again, remember how I've told you all that these predators often put themselves in careers and positions that allow them to be in close proximity to children. He was involved with Rockdale Youth Orchestra, Rockdale Youth Theater Workshop, governorship of 29 Rockdale schools, and chairmanship of the council's youth committee, youth employment committee, and the education committee. On November the 28th of 2012, an alleged victim of sexual abuse by Smith waived his right to anonymity in a television interview with Sky News to say he was sexually abused at a council-run residential special school. Now, Chris Marshall broke down in tears during this interview when describing the sexual abuse that he said took place at Knoll View School in Rockdale in the early 1980s. He said that as a 9-year-old boy, he was taken to a room and made to perform fellatio on Smith as well as another man. Smith was a governor at the school and allegedly had his own set of keys. Also in November of 2012, Tony Robinson, a former special branch officer with Lancashire Police in the 1970s, said that a dossier of sexual abuse allegations against Smith, which police claimed was lost, was actually seized by M15. Robinson said that he was asked by M15 to send to London a police dossier that had been kept in a safe in his office, which he said was thick with allegations from boys claiming they had been abused by Smith. An investigation, Operation Fairbank, which was led by the Metropolitan Police, started in late 2012 into claims that MPs had visited the Elm Guest House in southwest London during the late 1970s, where vulnerable young children had been lured, plied with alcohol and rugs, and then sexually abused. A full criminal investigation, Operation Fernbridge, was launched in February of 2013 as a result of the allegations arising from Operation Fairbank. Now, the allegations of an establishment pedophile ring involving MPs, civil servants, and M15 are currently part of a complex, ongoing multi-agency investigation. Prominent people who attended the parties at Elm Guest House are reported to have included Smith and the Soviet spy Anthony Blunt. According to the independent newspaper, other visitors to the guest house included the former British diplomat Sir Peter Heyman, a Sinn Féin politician, a Labour MP, and several conservative politicians. Now, Heyman was a member of the PDF File Information Exchange and worked with M16 while serving as a career diplomat overseas. In 1981, Dickens named him in Parliament, complaining that despite holding evidence, the police had failed to prosecute Heyman. Why aren't the police prosecuting these people? Well, because law enforcement is in on it. Now, Labour MP Tom Watson is still waiting for a reply to his request to David Cameron for a full inquiry into the increasing pile of evidence into PDF files operating at the highest levels of the British establishment. Now, I want you to pay attention because they want us to think that, they're punishing Prince Andrew by taking away his title and all of that, but they absolutely knew what he was doing. They've known what was going on. Princess Diana knew what was going on. That's why she was killed. Let me just say allegedly, okay? With that all being said, let's continue. Now, he has specifically referred to Peter Wrighton, a former consultant to the National Children's Bureau, who was convicted of importing and possessing illegal corn material in 1992. Hansard reported Watson saying that files on Wrighton contained clear intelligence of a widespread PDF file ring in Westminster. Now, one of its members boasts of a link to a senior aide of Margaret Thatcher, who says he could smuggle indecent images of children from abroad. There are now several police investigations proceeding on the basis of old evidence and further new revelations by victims who, following high-profile recent cases, have had the courage to come forward. There are now several police investigations proceeding on the basis of old evidence and further new revelations by victims who, following high-profile recent cases, have had the courage to come forward. Many of these are former residents of special schools or local authority children's homes placed there by from disadvantaged, broken, or vulnerable working-class families. Now, that's important to know because if you remember, I played you all the video of the Hampstead twins, the girl and the boy from the UK who said their father had them going to this school, this private school, and basically they were sacrificing babies. They were doing things, inappropriate things to the babies. Also, they were eating the babies is what they said. Okay, they said all of these things that is being talked about in here. But they also said that they were getting these children, these babies and things from disadvantaged and broken homes. The parents couldn't take care of them. Remember the little girl said that, but they wanted to act like the little girl's lying? Who could make that up as a kid? She was only about 9 to 11 years old. And her brother said exactly the same thing. Now, the PDF files targeted them because they were poor, frightened, powerless, or disabled, without parental protection, and could be threatened into silence. They proved attractive to powerful, rich PDF files operating in concert and knowing how to cover their tracks and ensure secrecy. M15 and M16 involvement in preventing criminal prosecutions confirms that these establishment figures had to be protected in order to avoid blackmail, which could be used to obtain state secrets. There are several PDF suspects known to be Freemasons, a shadowy organization full of men desperate for anonymity and forming a spider's web of connections and mutual interest. The Duke of Kent is the 10th Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England, the governing body of Freemasonry in England and Wales. He has served in that office since 1967, thus being the longest-serving Grand Master. In December of 2013, he celebrated 50 years as a Freemason. He's also president of the Scout Association for almost 29 years, has been the patron of Endeavor, a national youth organization. If you all remember, back in 2020, I did a story about how the Boys Club of America, the Boy Scouts of America, have been sued, Okay, in the millions of dollars, they've been sued so many times for nefarious things being alleged and, them being accused of nefarious things going on with those boys. YouTube took that video down, okay, and said that I was cyberbullying and harassing. And they said that about a lot of things that I reported, and much of it is what we're hearing right now. Please pay attention. So, goes on to say, while he is at it, maybe he could revisit some of the widespread allegations against suspected or convicted pedophiles who used to or might still be working for the Scout Association. Now, Stephen Walker is co-author. Okay, that's a book that was written. Stephen Walker, co-author of Safeguarding Children and Young People, A Guide to Integrated Practice. Okay, so with that all being said, this stuff's been going on for decades. Like I told you all, and nothing's ever been done about it, apparently, because it continues. And I also told you back in the 80s when this stuff was going on here in the United States and it got exposed, they just tried to make the people seem like they were crazy, like they were just making stuff up or just didn't know what they were talking about, and like it was all a hoax. Okay, the McMartin School. And the other case, I can't remember the name of it right off my head, but they were trying to act like this was some sort of mass hysteria, saying that it was satanic panic, if you all remember that. Okay, so this is all just real sick. Now, I'm going to do some more digging into these files, but so far, it's not looking good for Trump. Okay, how is he going to finagle his way out of this? Are they going to hold him to account? If they're talking about Nancy Mace, that is, if she's talking about having Jay-Z come forward, why aren't they talking about having Trump come forward? He has all of these very credible allegations. Okay, the person who's making these allegations, one of the main people, has already testified in Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. So, how is she not a credible source? That's what you should ask yourselves. Okay, Reggie says, I remember the McMartin School. Exactly. So with that all being said, listen, yes, it is all very sick. Absolutely. So with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, but I will be back tomorrow. And I'll be on early tomorrow, probably around 9 or 10. I'm going to say around 10. Okay, around 10, I'm going to be on live tomorrow with some more information. Now, with that all been said, Desmond is telling you all to follow the backup channel because y'all know how it is when you start talking about certain things. Okay, with that all being said, listen, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this night and enjoy your strong end, not the weekend, leaving you in a weakened state of mind. Until next time, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You you touch one Ahmadiyyah done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got